Hammer. It's me, Matty Ice. I haven't talked to you in like 6 hours. Where are you, bro? I miss you. Seriously, though. Y'all could call me back? For real, though, you said you were fly curious. I took that seriously. Took time out of my day. I was going to show you the way of being fly curious. But no, you got to listen to Alex and ruin everything. It's fine. I forgive you. Call me back. It's almost 13 hours now. I love you. Talk to you soon, Jabberhammer. Screw you, Alex. Ruin everything.
Really, Paul?
Welcome to the Bass and Brews podcast, your weekly distraction from other high-quality podcasts. And now, your host, Alex from Swamp Rat Fishing, and the co-hostess with the mostest, the Jabberhammer, Paul Roberts.
Ooh, I fucked that up. Look at Paul coming in for the save. I fucked that up.
What happened?
You're the worst.
Love that.
For people that aren't watching, who are listening, we had a Willa meme up. A Willa meme up for the beginning of the podcast. And Alex has not been here so often the last month that he played the wrong intro music, and I had to save us.
Yeah.
I had to save us, and he was getting mad at me. He was starting to shake his head, and he pushed away from the microphone.
I heard something.
Because I had to play the correct one. Because Alex, he shows up every now and again, and when he does, all he does is fuck the podcast up. So I think we need to take a poll. We need everybody to poll us somehow or another and go on there and say, should Alex just be doing social media?
That'd be great. That'd be great. I've been trying to stop hosting this with you since I brought you on. Because you're pretty much the worst person ever. The only reason I kept you on is because you have no life and you could run the show while I was gone.
I had a real live interview / trial for our guest last week, Mr. Evan Goes Fishing.
Yeah.
And he thought he was ready. And
he was not ready.
TikTok live we did, he was ready. He was a wild card. He was all in it. And then when the music started and when the music ended and the camera came on, he froze.
Listen, it happens.
That's why I started a little early.
That's right. That's the way to do it. Hey, before we get started, look at this sweet hat I got, this y'all look hat, and this awesome Crusher koozie. Paul sent me some stuff, and it was really nice. He sent me the big sun hat you guys see him wear all the time. Amanda, the mail lady, is going to be wearing that on her route. She's going to do some y'all look videos for you guys. But then the greatest part was at the bottom of the box, Paul just threw a bunch of fucking trash from his garage at the bottom of it. There's like used up sunscreen that's actually like a hazard because it was like a spray bottle. There's like half-used baits. He just sent me trash. It was and a Hobie sticker, the biggest trash of all.
I thought you were going to do an unboxing and put it on TikTok. Why?
Yeah, because life came around, Paul. You know what I mean? We've had a busy week. Speaking of that, how's your week going, Paul? Oh, wait, yeah, that's right. Nobody gives a fuck. Anyways,
we've got
the
Brandon.
Other thing
is what Amanda is wearing, which didn't come in that package. It came in a separate package. Have you seen on like Instagram and Facebook the put your face on clothes?
Yeah.
I sent her some underwear with my face on it.
Solid, man. She needs a good pair of period panties. You know what I mean?
Well, hey, here's what's going to happen. You're going to go to, y'all are going to have a good date night. And you're going to go lay down and you're going to start, doing your stuff. And then my face is going to be staring your face up. Matter of fact, I know who it was. Dave, apparently that's his name. I had no idea who the fuck Dave was forever, but Wolf of Walmart.
Yes.
He said, have you ever gone up on your wife?
What does that mean?
You don't get it, you short fuck.
Oh. Fuck you, Dave. Fuck you. Took me a minute.
He has an alarm set to text me to remind me to say that, but I remembered. But actually, to answer your question about my week, it was kind of actually pretty shitty. My fucking dog died yesterday. I had to put it down.
I heard about that.
And I have not. I'm not going the whole story, but anyway, I took him to the vet. I was fucking I wasn't bawling, but I had the that for trying to talk to. It was fucking horrible. And then last night we recorded the Queen City Chronicles 8 event. And when I record my podcast, when I go in the door right over here on my right shoulder, every night from a podcast, he's always lying behind it, sleeping, hanging out. Sometimes he comes in the garage. I went in after the podcast last night and I opened the fucking door and he wasn't there. And fucking just started crying again. It was fucking miserable, man.
Well,
old Stony Dean, 13 and 3/4 years old. He was a great puppy dog. He was here before the kids, and it sucked, man. If you got pets and all, people know, man. And I've been preparing myself for a while because he's old, kind of going downhill. I'll tell you what, I was worse than the wife and the kids yesterday. I was depressed.
That's some Marley and Me shit, right? Especially when you get an animal before you have those kids, and then they're kind of there as the kids are all growing up. It's nuts. And normally I would give you a rash of shit, but I feel bad, man. That sucks.
Hey,
my condolences, and I'm glad you're here meeting me today.
Hey, there we go.
Sound like your dog lived a good life, and it's very sad, but thanks for being here. And
yeah, on that happy note, thanks for that, Paul. We've got Brandon from Throw Luck Fishing. Brandon, welcome to the Bass and Brews fishing experience. I'm going to rename the show that. Yeah, I'm going to rename it so when people look up the Joe Rogan Experience, they'll maybe accidentally find us. No? Yeah.
So I was seeing, this is your 101st episode. Is that correct? Did I see that wrong? No?
No.
What you saw was Alex has fucked up our podcast. And so we've got 40 episodes that aren't showing up.
Okay. It's not 40. We're missing 35 episodes. Paul's lying, but yeah, we're a little bit over 100 at this point. But listen, I stopped putting numbers on them because, why? You don't need to, right?
Because
you guys will see it.
Hey, Brandon, I'm just saying, you've had guys like that. I watched heard that show with Darren Sweenbeck from Bassmaster.
Yeah, dude.
That guy's a legend. He's winning all these tournaments now. He does kayak. He doesn't know how to measure them right. He's just one of those guys he knows how to nail them. But when it comes to sometimes little stuff like having your boat float down the
dude, that episode was so much fun.
What was that river? It was
the Niagara River. And the Niagara River.
Oh man,
that's probably the craziest story we've ever had told on here. Is he let the ESPN Bassmaster Elite boat fucking floating down the Niagara River? So he had 12 pounds. He's like, this is my livelihood. He had to weigh in his 12 pounds. I love Darren.
I was watching Bassmaster in the not the early, but the mid 90s. So in my mind, it just goes to show you who the media decides who they want to, introduce you to, which are the people that you end up, admiring, because I had never heard of him before. And after hearing those stories and also him, he's winning tournaments. I'm like,
yeah.
I was a little kid, so obviously I'm not remembering everyone's name, but he definitely wasn't pushed as far. I don't think I ever saw him on live TV or anything when they aired, the episodes.
I've discussed this on this podcast and a couple others, how Bass does not embrace the personalities that they have to make it where if you want to draw people into the slow, boring ass fishing world, they do not embrace some of the personalities that they have on there. And it goes back, the biggest one is it goes back to when Matt Robertson took his pants off and had his stained tighty whities on.
Yeah.
And they showed that live. They did it. They showed it live, and then they got mad at him for that shit. Yeah. They got mad at him for that shit. And, to me, that's probably the most exciting, one of the top 10 most exciting times of any Bassmaster tournament that has ever been filmed. And they fucking completely missed it by being assholes towards him. Bass fishing is boring as fuck.
I grew up watching City Limits, and that was the style that my friends and I fished. We were fishing that urban style already and during that time. So he was the most realistic idol to us, and I loved his attitude, and he still, to me, is the greatest. I mean, I do think Autumn is awesome, and I think he's cool. But I mean, Iaconelli is the champ. He's been the champ of personality to me. No disrespect to Autumn. I think he's awesome. I got his glasses right here. I support him. I think he's cool. But like he's number one.
The man.
And it's funny that people bag on Ike. People are bagging on Ike, and I'm like, you guys don't even know.
This guy right here. Time out. Non-fishing topic, real quick. Oh my God, you got a fucking cat in your background in a cat tree. That is, oh my God, that makes my heart melt.
I tried to deck out my little area with some fishing gear, and I talked to Alex prior to this if we're going to do video, because I mean, I kind of one of those people where I've been doing this so long, I got like just a few little random relics that might encourage someone to actually watch this instead of just listen to it. And I just want to show y'all, Jabberhammer's here after letting his best friend passed away, so I just wanted to be prepared and try to make things as cool as possible. But the cat, that's just his natural area,
Yeah, nobody cares about any of the fishing shit you brought on this show tonight, but that cat in the background is the shit. Like, that is, he jumped up on that thing at the right, he heard you on the podcast.
Well, because he said his name. If you guys don't know, Brandon's cat is named Mike Iaconelli because they both have the same amount of fishing skill. Because Mike Iaconelli fucking sucks.
Oh my God,
he sucks. He sucks at fishing. His personality sucks.
Alex
his videos
says that,
suck.
but he doesn't mean it. He doesn't mean it. Look,
I'm gonna crack another one for Iaconelli on that note.
I'm gonna kick you off the show.
Hey, somebody made. I saw a post. I think it was Facebook or Instagram. I can't remember. I saw a post and somebody listed like they had a top 10 or top something list of anglers, and they had the most influential one on there. Fuck, I can't remember who it was now, but Ike was not on that list. And I can tell you right now that if you go and ask just the general public, ask the general public who's the most famous bass angler, most of them are these are people not in the industry, maybe fish a little bit, but these are not the people that go to the Bassmaster Classic, right? These are just your general ass neighbors that don't do anything. They're going to know Bill Dance, and they're probably going to know Ike.
Yep.
So Bill, he was, I was watching him on TV. I could still sing the intro song. I heard it so many times as a kid. So that was really the only
Sing it.
It's, the sun is just starting to rise up over the treetops, and it's going to be a beautiful day.
Thank God you didn't sing that, or his fucking show would have ended 5 seconds into it.
But it was kind of funny because learning at the time, you didn't really know, but he's just fishing like stocked farm ponds.
Yeah.
Rocking him, he could pick his poison. He's like, which. But not discrediting him by any means. He's awesome, and he's done every blooper in the game.
Yeah, he was the original content creator before content creators. Like
so all respect to Bill Dance.
Rest in peace, Bill Dance.
He's not dead, motherfucker.
Oh shit, my bad.
Hey, here's the thing about Bill Dance and him fishing stock farm ponds. If you want to be famous on fishing, we've talked about the ways to be famous, but one of them is to catch big fish.
Yeah.
So if he was going out to like Lake Norman or these big lakes and catching a bunch of 12, 14 inchers, nobody fucking cares. But you see him reel in 6 or 8 6-pounders in an episode. Your ass is out there trying to do what he was doing everywhere you were. People want to see you catch big fish.
And it works.
He did all the other shit. Yeah, well, it works all the time. People want to see big fish. That's why
I'm saying, buying baits and trying new techniques. You'd be surprised. I feel like there's a little truth to everything you hear when you see all these random tips, honestly.
Yeah.
It's crazy when you put in the time to actually do certain techniques and you get bid on it. You get bid on it, the first couple casts doing it. Then you start doing it so much, maybe that's why you're getting bit. But I think there's a little truth to every tip you see online. All the regurgitated ones on TikTok drive me nuts, but it is what it is.
Hey, I did want to cover this before we got too far into this. Hey, a Kraken Bass on TikTok, you can go fuck yourself. You are a fucking scumbag who steals people's content. And honestly, you can go fuck yourself. Not only that, is when we went to his video and called him out for taking content from Pond Hoppin' VA and not tagging him, not giving him credit, he had the audacity to have pond hopping almost banned for bullying because we were calling him out for stealing shit. So Kraken Bass, come find me on fucking in podcast land. Come try to cancel us here, you piece of shit. And honestly, you are a fucking chat GBT fucking robot lowlife who's selling a $500 masterclass on bass fishing, and you can't even catch a fucking fish yourself. I was so fucking hot about this, and I still am. Fuck you. Because this is bullshit. After the episode that we had with Paige, where she wasn't getting called out for her content, and then this fucking douchebag comes in, fuck that.
And hey, here's a small difference, though. Here's a small difference, though, with Paige and pond hopping. Is Paige's content was reused without her, and not only her, y'all, on that post that Vibe Kayaks made, but that it was not her. There were like 8 other anglers that they used. That was a company. Now, that was a national branded company. And so, you know, I'll get off of this real quick and I'll say my piece. Companies doing that shit is bullshit. But when we put shit out on the internet and I want to go use somebody else's content, is it, you know, does anybody have to name the people? No. But if I'm stealing somebody's, you know, it's out there for real, but I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm just trying to get views. But if you're selling shit and you're using other people's content to sell and make money, like, have a little respect for the people out there doing the shit.
Fuck that guy.
And tag them. It's not that hard. It's not that hard to tag them.
Oh, that was the best about this whole thing. This stupid motherfucker said, oh, I don't know the platform. I don't know how to tag. 57,000 followers on TikTok, 19,000 followers on Instagram, 12,000 subscribers on YouTube, and you don't know how to tag? Fuck you. You're a piece of shit. You're a scumbag, and you shouldn't be part of this community.
So Brandon is from West Texas,
yes,
America, and he grew up watching Bill dance, and this man had nothing to fish in but farm ponds that dried up 9 months out of the year, and now here he is making content, catching fish. It's your turn, Mr. Throwluck, to. Okay.
What was the question? Was there a question in there?
No. You were just supposed to take it and run with it.
That's all right.
No, I mean, yeah.
There we go.
So I used to be a photographer. I've shot weddings. I've shot bands. Done portraits on. I've been on tour with 2 different bands.
Who?
This band called the Wild Wild Wets and a band called Jeans Wilder.
That's 2 of the best fucking band names I've ever heard of.
Yeah,
and
so
I have
Jeans Wilder and Wild Wild Wets.
What kind of music was it?
Awesome.
Yeah, this was probably probably 2012, maybe, I think.
What kind of music was it? Punk?
Alternative rock, yeah.
Okay. Oh, nice. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know West Texas had an alternative rock scene
like that. This is California.
Oh, I thought we were from West Texas.
Nah, California.
Oh my God, you're not getting it. Do you see my fucking air quotes?
Yes, sir.
Listen, to make it clear, Brandon is from Eureka, California. He can give you all the fishing spots up there. You'll be good to go.
100%. I got you. Just follow me, and you're gonna learn how to catch all the dinks you want.
So, how long you been fishing, man?
1995 to 2001 heavily, and then a big gap, then to 2008 to 2010, and then it's kind of funny because I just picked it back up again in 2020, and it's been like my jam ever since. So I was into it from 1995, even as a kid. I got my first float tube in I think probably 97. So I've been float tubing since 97. Still never bought a boat. Only been in a bass boat a handful of times. Would love a kayak, but don't have room for one of those, and they're just a little too heavy to lug around. So I just kind of been tubing that whole time. I kind of got one of those guys who's like, the only time I'm going to bank fish is if it's at a pond. Otherwise, I got to be in my tube, or occasionally rent a boat. But honestly, I pretty much never rent a boat. Pretty much always
all right. That's awesome. Now I have never been in a float tube, and up until so your fishing journey kind of mimics mine almost to an exact fucking T.
Yeah,
nice. I was before 95 to 2000, and then 8 to 9, and then I got back into it in December 2020 is when I really got back into it. And so when I started listening to podcasts, I started listening to these kayak guys. Brian Howell is one from from California that's now in Texas. That's a big time kayak angler. And he talked about float tube. And I'm like, what the fuck is a float tube? Like, I'm trying to figure out what the fuck a float tube is, because, you know, if you come down to the Southeast and you put your ass in a float tube in some of these places, you're going to be on the news by getting eaten by an alligator. And so, like, we don't have that shit down here. Not that I know of. Nobody knows dumb
No,
enough
you guys
to get in a
got
float
tubing. Tubing is usually just a bunch of overweight sophomore college girls drinking twisted iced tea down the river.
Yes,
here in West Texas, we float tube a lot. All right.
But all right, so explain to me. I don't know what the fuck a float tube is. I have no idea. And watching your videos, I've kind of seen it, but since we're in first person view, I don't get what the hell is it?
So I always explain it to random people that ask me, like my neighbors who have no idea fucking anything about fishing. It's like a horseshoe shaped inner tube with a little bucket seat. You wear waterproof wader overalls. That's what I tell them. But you're wearing waders, you know, and then you got flippers on, and then you just kick backwards to wherever you want to go. And then once you're there, it's just like being in a lazy boy, and you can just kind of move around and cast where you want. So that's kind of how I explain to the public who just, you know.
Do you get wet? Like, is the waterproof waders not got shoes on the end of it? It's got flippers, or do you stay dry the whole time? Like, can you fish in the winter?
Yeah. So the booties, the foot part, it's made out of a neoprene, like a wetsuit. It goes up to like about a booty, so a couple inches above your ankle bone. And then from there, it's this material that's like real breathable. You almost feel like you're getting wet when you wear it. And that comes up as like the overalls. So it's, you know, in the summertime, I'm wearing, you know, like some workout shorts that I don't work out in. I just float tube in them, you know, my most comfortable shorts I own, you know, and I'm wearing those waders, and then that's it. Your feet are still pretty hot when the water is like 80 degrees, you know.
I was about to say, being in waders like that, because I used to duck hunt, and so in November when duck season comes in here in the Carolinas, it's fucking still like 85, 90 degrees. And you are fucking sweating. Are you just sweating your balls off in this thing when you go fishing when it's hot? Like,
nah, I mean, the area I'm in, you have to wear the waders. If I'm in an area where you don't have to wear the waders, I'm going to wear my board shorts 100%.
Why do you have to wear the waders? Is it a law?
Yeah, so they're pretty much all the lakes that I fish are man-made water reservoirs. We got to pay $11 to fish every time you launch or just fish from shore. If you have a boat, it's additional, I think 11 or even more on top of that. Which is one of the reasons why I've never, you know, moved on from the float.
All right, where does all your shit go? Do you have like rod holders like we do on kayaks? Like, are these fishing vessels that you can trick out to put rods behind you in a tackle box and shit like that, or is it you get these floating tackle boxes that you just tether to you and they're like hanging around like a cooler floating down the river?
Yeah, no. So I mean, for me, there's behind the seat, there's an area where I keep a bucket. It's like, I'm not sure how big it is, but it's kind of one of those like those orange buckets you can get from Home Depot, gallon or something. And then you can use PVC pipes. Or you can actually go, if you really want to be lazy, you can just go on eBay and buy them for a couple bucks. And they're, you know, rod holders. And I have two on my bucket on the side, so I can keep either, you know, most times it's 3 casting reels and a spinning setup, but sometimes it's 2 casting, you know, setups and 2 spinning rods. Sometimes I bring 5, which is like kind of a nuisance, but generally I just bring 4 because I can put all 4 in the bucket. Got the tube in one hand. I got the bucket in the other hand that carries my fins. I already got my waders on. And, you know, I got the float tube has pockets where you hold your tackle. So on the left side, I have 2, you know, tackle boxes. On the right side, I got all my worms, and I got my, you know, my pliers, you know, anything scale. You know, I got scents. I'm a big guy on scents. I always got my scent over there, my spike it if I want to spike something, chartreuse or whatever color you want to do. If you're not doing that, you're dropping the ball, boys. You're dropping the ball.
I Two important questions. Hold on, Alex. No, because I'll forget this if I don't ask it right now. All right, 2 important questions. They're one and the same, but they're different, and I'm going to need you to answer both. When you have to go take a dookie, what do you do? And I'm sure it's different than when you have to go tinkle. Like, how do we navigate the waters of going tinkle and going dookie?
That's a great question, and I'm prepared because I've listened to others' podcasts, and so. But besides that, I already have had my answer, which this doesn't even jeopardize my answer. So for me, I'm fishing like 3 to 6 hours generally. But if I'm doing a tournament and I got to be up really early, before my usual time, it's you wake up, you drink that Red Bull or that coffee and that big cup of water, you get it out. You get all your gear in the car, which it's already in the car. The only thing's not in the car is the rods, because you never leave all your rods in the car.
No,
overnight just in case. So then I get
West
all the rods
Texas
out.
for sure.
Not in West Texas. Don't mess with Texas, boys. So then you get your 4 or 5 rods out. Dealing with these damn cats, that can take some time. So your body's moving. Your body kind of has an idea of like, do I got to go again? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At that point, you either go again or you don't. And hey, for health reasons, maybe you shouldn't do this. I get a shot glass and I do a shot of Pepto-Bismol.
There it is.
Even if I don't have to go or I don't feel like I have to go,
Smart.
I just shoot that motherfucker anyway.
Smart.
Yep. That's
so that's the poop side. But when you have to go pee, because none of that gets the pee out of your system. Do you piss in your waders, or do you have to get out and go tinkle on the bank and get back in them and shit?
I can tell you right now that Brandon pisses his pants. He's definitely pissing in them waders.
Well, not in my pants, but I got like a Gatorade bottle in that bucket I was talking about, and sometimes you don't want to get off the water. You're on a bite, and you gotta do what you gotta do. So yeah, you just put it in the waders. No one has to see anything. It's all well within the waders and that Gatorade bottle. And bada bing, bada boom, you're set.
I think that's two extra steps. You should just piss yourself.
And then you pour the Gatorade bottle out in the water beside you, right?
No, definitely not. No.
Well, what the fuck? What happens if you reach back and you're really thirsty and you're on a good bite and you reach back and you grab the wrong fucking bottle and you take a big old swig of tinkle?
He's like, a nice ice cold bottle of lemon lime Gatorade.
I'm always prepared.
Okay.
All right, so I've seen one. It's a cool view to watch your content when you're in the tube. One thing that gets me with the tube, just from like a content standpoint, is, as Paul said, it's kind of hard to see the whole setup, and I've never seen anybody do it yet. But getting that big over the shoulder shot would be dope. Like you rig like one of those Yak Attack boom sticks off of the bucket and get it up over the top would be dope.
Ooh, what would be better is if you ever watch Ghost Hunters, they have the camera boom that goes out kind of in front of you that you wear the little backpack.
You want it in front of them?
Yeah.
So there's a guy on Instagram. His little thing is Lord Bird, all one word, and he has a setup where he's got a camera where it shoots him from the back. He's got some videos where he like is flipping a frog into the toolies and smashing them, and that view is awesome. But for me, it's too much work.
Yeah, I gotcha.
I got my tripod and my GoPro, and a lot of times people don't even see that because I'm too lazy to upload it all. So you just get the dinks I catch on my cell phone, and that's it. I'll put the pictures on my Instagram, but like most of my videos on TikTok, it's just a bunch of dinks on my cell phone because I'm too lazy to upload the good ones. And no one cares. People just want to see snag lures, and I don't know. I do it for fun and to meet nice guys like you, but in the grand scheme of things, I really could care less about.
Have you ever hooked yourself in the tube?
Have I ever what?
Hooked yourself.
Oh yeah, definitely. So yesterday I was fishing and I was flipping the toolies. I was snagged deep into the toolies. They're like sparse, so I'm like deep in there. So I got to get into into them. And I got the rod bucket and I got a mega bass jerkbait with 3 hooks. Those things get snagged at any moment. But lo and behold, as I'm reaching to get my stick bait out of the toolie, I get snagged on my drop shot hook in the side of my arm. So now I'm literally snagged 2 times. This really happened, and I had my brand new like sun hoodie on. And sometimes this has happened before, maybe not in this exact scenario where I'm in the toolies, but I've been snagged in my arm before, where you just have to get luckily this is why I always keep my pocket knife with me, and you just have to cut as close to the hook as you can to give yourself a little hole. I've done that in hoodies, I've done that in everything, but I've never been in this flipping toolie snag arm situation. And so I didn't want to cut a hole in my new sun hoodie, so I cut the line, and I pushed the hook out through the opposite way to eliminate the
Had
damage.
to save the hoodie.
Yeah.
So when you're doing that, like, because I know in a kayak, when you hook into a big fish or you're in that like close combat situation, it's fucking awesome, right? Feeling that fish pull the kayak. That's got to be a trip in a tube.
Yeah, on your prior episodes, you were talking to someone about like the leverage you have with a fish in a kayak, and I mean, just imagine in a tube, you're like even a little bit lower. Yeah, I've had a fish that I've caught. I was using the yo-yo retrieve, the lipless crankbait, so it bit on slack line, and I didn't even know I had it, so I went to do the next yo-yo. By the time I figured it out, that fish had ran towards me, and it created slack on me like 2 times, and then it just came off, and it was a giant. And so when you're in that lower angle right on the water, it just they have the opportunity. I feel, and I mean, I'm not making any excuses, and my bass boat experience is slim to none. But I mean, I can understand, and when you're a little higher up, it just everything is different. The hook set, the battle, and so in the tube, if they're splashing you, you're getting wet. I've had fish jump off into my net, because I'm so low, like, and they're already, you're trying to pull them back and get them in the net, and it's just a disaster.
I mean, fucking net at that point, man. You just drag them right into your lap.
Drag him into the fucking float tube, right?
I used to do that until I started when you start fishing jerk baits with three trebles on them in big deep diving plugs, you don't want to lip them anymore. You just want to get them in the net. It's a nuisance when they get in the net sometimes. It's all hooked in the net, but honestly, at that point, it's too hard to ground with your hand. And you risk popping the tube, so a net is clutch. 100%.
Okay, all right. I was going to get to that. Have you ever fallen out, and have you ever popped your tube?
I've never fallen out. I do know a guy who he lost his cell phone in the lake. He threw it in instead of the fish, and in his moment of panic, he went in after the phone. And he said his waders filled up, and he freaked out and kind of came up quickly and grabbed onto.
That's scary. Yeah, now that's scary. Your waders filling up.
Yeah, and I mean he's a good guy, and he's a great fisherman as well. So I don't think you just like say that happened to him. It didn't happen to him. But I never have had that happen personally though. But I mean I don't have like a bar in front of me or anything, so. You very well could, I guess, slip in, but it's never happened to me.
I mean, you're already kind of in the water, right? Like you already kind of slipped in, right? You're just a little more upright.
It's below my kneecaps, just so that's about as wet as you're getting, honestly. Yeah.
Your ass isn't getting wet?
No, not really. It pretty much just hits about your kneecaps, and that's about it.
So you're not going out 100 yards fishing offshore in 30 foot of water?
So that's the thing about West Texas. The reservoirs that I fish, you can. I mean, there's guys I knew who've got trolling motors and live scope on their tubes. That's where some guys are out.
Holy
the fuck shit. Out of here!
Yeah. I don't do that. All the fish that that I post and everything, it's all just with my eye scopes and my feet. That's it. All I got.
Listen, if you got live scope on a fucking tube, get a fucking kayak at least. Like,
Alex, and you say that about if you got live scope on your kayak, just get a fucking boat. You just keep saying that.
Yeah, and if you have live scope
he doesn't
on a
like
boat,
Iconelli. He doesn't like Iconelli. So,
I know. Listen, if you have live scope on your boat, get a fucking plane. All right, you'll be able to see him from up there.
Look, the first time I meet Alex, I'm gonna punch him in the face and I'm gonna man hug a fart out of him afterwards.
That's a weird combination. All right.
Don't talk shit about my hero.
Listen, I don't talk shit about myself. I know I'm your hero. All right, so how
Where are
far
we going
from
with
this
podcast tonight?
Yeah, it's going crazy. I actually have a lot of questions about the tube. How far are you going from like your launch spot? Like, are you back flipping like 4 miles down the lake, or?
I mean, I couldn't really gauge it. Maybe I don't want to undershoot it or overshoot it, over, whatever you might say it is. So I guess 3 miles, 4 miles. I'm not really sure. I can only I hit. It also depends on the wind.
Yeah, yeah, because the wind's. Well, he said no wonder you're skinny. Yeah, because the wind, that's got to be even more of a nightmare than it is being in a kayak.
Coors Light helps.
Alex froze.
No, I didn't. Anyways,
this internet's bad, huh?
See, yeah. So I always picture I sat in a tube once way long ago as a kid, and we did trout fishing in Washington in one, but we did do that down like a river, like not in a lake. And I've seen the guys like do it, and it's a big thing where I'm at this last summer. Like this summer, I've seen more dudes in fucking tubes than I have ever in my life. Like they're taking these tubes to these little backwater Jersey ponds, and it's a smart idea, right? Like that's even easier than a kayak. So
yeah, that's a good way to get a needle.
It's the poorest man's boat.
Yeah, and these guys obviously don't have the regulations you have because they are like board shorts, wife beater. They've got some flippers that they got from Walmart strapped to their Crocs, and that's what they're jumping in.
Hey, I mean, get it done. It's so you can two places you can't carry a kayak.
Yeah. When you were with the touring with the bands, did you go fishing then?
No, that was kind of that period, that little gap in my life. I guess I kind of brought that up because that's kind of one of the reasons why I do create content. I was always kind of into taking photos and documenting things.
Mm-hmm.
I was taking photos even back in like 95 with just little wind-up cameras. For just whatever reason, that's just kind of my mindset. I think it was kind of that whole skateboard thing. Skateboarders always want to document them doing things, tricks and whatnot.
Yep.
And I just carried that mentality into fishing even at a young age because I was already taking dumb pictures of my friends trying to ollie up a curb or something. So
it's really kind of the same activity when it comes to that, right? Because sometimes you do the activity a lot by yourself. Like a lot of people fish by themselves, a lot of people skate by themselves, but then they will join up with people. But like, let's say you ollie a 6 set and then you tell your friend and they're like, bullshit, let me see the fucking picture. And it's the same way with fishing where you go, hey, I caught this hog. And if you don't have a picture, well, guess what? It didn't fucking happen. Like, just didn't fucking happen. It is I find that those two worlds play a lot off each other, whether people realize it or not. A lot of content creators in the fishing realm are trying to do things on their own, and skateboarders have been doing DIY since it started.
Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of why I was already taking pictures, and it was kind of crazy when I came back into fishing again, at the time that I did, and seeing everyone doing all this and how people have created, careers and made, the Guggen Squad started essentially off of kind of the mentality I had, but they had, the born in a different time where they knew to put it on social media,
Mm-hmm.
So I honestly am not a fan. I don't use any Guggen gear, but I am a fan of just like what those guys have done. And I think John B is awesome. And that Lake Fork guy seems pretty cool. But, as a whole, I'm buying Zoom, I'm buying RoboWorm, I'm buying the stuff that I like,
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, though, what those guys did, it was kind of crazy for me to come back into it and just see all that and just see what they did. Because I used to pour plastics at one point as well. So I was like, wow, that's kind of crazy how the times changed so much.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to choose one to take on a float tube fishing all day event with you, would you bring Jennifer Lopez or Jennifer Aniston?
I think Jennifer Lopez. I think she'd be have a little better energy. Honestly, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know, man. Right. I think it might be tougher. That badunk's gonna sink that fucking tube real quick.
Yeah, but she's got bigger boobies.
Who? Well, yeah,
better flotation.
Oh. So you worked with bands a lot, right? And I don't know what style of music you listen to, but who's the artist you want to take float on a float trip with?
Shoot, I don't know. That's a tough question. I guess off the top of my head, I'm gonna say Post Malone.
Oh, Post Malone would be the shit.
I want to hang out with Post Malone.
I'm not even a fan of his music, but just the fact that he bought that Magic card for $2 million, that's such a fisherman mindset. The guys who buy the expensive swim baits. It's like,
yeah.
And see, that's kind of where it's funny for me from fishing for so long and kind of coming back into it at that time where it's just kind of I love it, and at the same time, I have a little jokes I keep to myself. You know, it's just kind of interesting. It's like I would never buy a bait for what people buy them for, but I get it. You know.
Yeah, I think Post Malone. I don't think he'd be a good fisherman at all. I think he would show up. I think he'd show up with a spinning rod, which is fine, but he'd be that guy that's reeling it with the reel up, right, instead of it hanging down. But I think he'd be a party because I think he'd have a cooler full of Bud Platinum floating right behind him the whole time, and just chain smoking cigarettes, just one after another after another.
And he would be living his fucking life to the fullest and making everybody else's life around him that much better. I mean,
dude, that was such a good answer. That is. How do we, man, I hope we make it big one day. You know, the Bass and Brews fishing experience is basically like the Joe Rogan experience, but with fishing. So, you know, but anyways, I hope we get so big that we can float tube fish with Post Malone. Like, I don't know if I could take him on a boat. On a boat, I think he'd get sleepy and he'd just fall asleep at some point. Right. And then a kayak, absolutely not. Kayak, he would be a hazard. Yeah. Kayak, he would flip that motherfucker over. Like,
I'd
just
put
trying
him on
to
the back of my Hobie, and me and him would tandem fish on the back of my Hobie together.
You put him on the back?
I don't see him waking up early either. Maybe the evening bite. He'd be good for the evening bite. Maybe.
I think that's it. Yeah, but I think he would show up with worms. And I bet you if you gave him a rubber worm, he would still put it on the hook like it was a real live worm. Like, he'd just fucking wind that thing all the way around that EWG hook and cast it out. And he'd be like, congratulations, this is great.
And
I think it'd be awesome.
10-pounder.
I could see him dragging a jig and just smoking a cigarette. You know, say every couple puffs. That's when every 2 puffs you reel it once. You know.
Listen, how do we make this happen?
You gotta flick it. That's when you shake the rod tip. You know, it's pretty good.
Paul, who would you take?
Nobody. I fucking hate fishing with people.
You're the worst. You know who
I don't
take?
People either, honestly, pretty rare.
I don't either. Yeah, I'm not a fan of fishing with people either. Like, that's my time.
I would take Alex, and then I would put a hole in his float tube.
There it is. See, I would take Jabberhammer because the float tube couldn't hold up his fat ass, and it would instantly sink. So, yeah.
Is there a weight limit on these float tubes?
There are weight limits on them. I have no idea what different models or different weight limits.
Whoa. Look, because Alex called me fat doesn't mean you have to call me fat now. We ain't in here trying to fat shame nobody, talking about I don't know what the weight limit is. 2 skinny ass people in here talking to me about this. How tall are you?
6'2".
Sweet.
Yeah, I don't know if I could tube very well as an adult. I don't think my legs are fucking long enough.
The lower back hurts sometimes, I'll tell you what. Stretching helps, though. Started stretching pretty recently. You have to sit for a little. So.
Paul, there's no way you're getting in a float tube. The weight limit is 325 pounds. You got 20 pounds over that.
I could take gear with that weight limit for sure. I could take some gear. Hey, Alex, do they sell children float tubes? Because you would have to get in like the ages 2 to 5 one.
Do you, I'm just ignoring you. Do you keep that thing inflated the whole time, or do you got to inflate that thing every time you show up?
Yeah, so I store it I deflate it when I store it. Okay. When you get on the water, though, especially in the summertime with the heat, you kind of got to play with the valves. I do it while I'm just on the water and just let a little air out because they can definitely take too much air in when it's hot and they can blow up.
Is it self-inflating, or do you have a pump, or do you have to do it with your mouth?
No, I got a pump that I just put in my cigarette lighter in my car and I blow it up. And then, I will pump it with my mouth when I get on the water just to make sure.
Brandon shows up at the boat ramp. It's a stocked, full, busy boat ramp. He's coming down with those glasses that he's wearing right now, just blowing into that thing. Just not even using the motor, just blowing into it. Like, what's up, boys? You guys want to take a hit off this? Yeah.
I've had an old man boater tell me, "What are you doing over there? What are you blowing over there?" I've had people make some jokes. When this wasn't the first time, yeah, definitely.
So do you carry patches in case you get a hole in it so you can patch it up real quick, or is that really not something that happens? Because y'all in West Texas, don't y'all have zebra mussels in some of the lakes and shit?
Damn those zebra mussels.
Those Texas zebra mussels.
I've never had one just blow up on me, but I have traveled up into a higher altitude area, and the seam had split the first time I blew it up in that altitude. Probably just from years of wear and tear, but it definitely kind of ruined the trip. I was in an area where I'd planned on using the tube, for the next 3-5 days. So,
how much are these fucking things?
Yeah, and answer that, and then I got one because you brought up you made a poop come up into my brain and it just came out, but I'm holding on to it. Go ahead.
These aren't that bad. I just kind of looked it up. These are pretty reasonable, right? Like 200 bones.
Yeah, they're anywhere from 200 to there's this one brand called 7 Bass. I think they're out of Canada, and they're kind of the bigger brands. They come with mounts that you can put a trolling motor on them already. I don't own one personally. I know a lot of guys who do use them. They go up to about $900.
Yeah, some of these don't even. There's one brand here that this isn't a float tube. This is like, it's got 2 sets of oars. It's got 2 full. It's basically like a baby pontoon boat. And that one runs like $600 on Amazon. I'm sure that's a knockoff. But some of these, like, you can get one from Cabela's for like $150.
That's where I got my first tube, ordered online from Cabela's or Bass Pro Shops. It was just the donut one before they made them in the horseshoe shape. So you're just sitting in a circular tube, and it's crazy to see how they've evolved over time.
How long did they last? Do you have to like get a no float tube every year or two, or is it one of these things when you get up into the higher price ones that you're getting one that tends to last a long time?
I mean, I've had just a caddis float tube that I probably bought in 2008, and I still have it. I've never had to patch it. I've had no holes. But yeah, I don't use that model any longer. I use, I can't remember the name of the one I'm using right now, but Cumberland. It's kind of a popular tube. It's like $225, I think. If you're thinking about getting into float tubing, I think it's like $2,225.
Yeah, if I get a float tube, that bitch is going to have a trolling motor on it, and
Paul would totally fucking do that.
Yeah, look. Hey,
I want one. I want a trolling motor.
I bet.
I can't wait. I'm tired of kicking.
No shit. Fuck.
And you get on a bite. You kind of they're biting in the back of a cove because you get to 1 or 2 of them. You can't hit more than 3 coves in a day. By the time you get to the back of it, it's already been flipped by a boat or a kayaker 25 times, So,
do you ever wear those those bike helmets that have the mirrors on the side so you can fucking see behind you as you're kicking away?
I don't do that, but there's some guys who float tube and kayak some backwaters here in East Texas, and they've been known to doing that to protect themselves from bums who are throwing stuff at them that live.
Oh shit!
No shit.
What are they throwing at them? Like poop?
Rocks. Maybe poop sometimes. I know rocks for sure though. Yeah, I used to fish this kind of backwaters back in the day, but I haven't been in them in a while personally.
No,
I fucking wouldn't.
Look, let somebody start throwing some shit at me, and I promise you, what they're throwing at me is way less velocity of what I'm going to throw back.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Dude, this Cumberland flow tube looks like the fucking bee's knees.
I mean, I've been floating it for a couple of years.
Put it on the screen. Hey, shit, I forgot what I was going to say. Fucking
that's good.
Damn it. Put it on the screen real quick.
I think so. So we've had people fishing out of boats on the bank. We've had all kinds. You are the first fishing float tuber we've had, and it's kind of blowing my mind because
this shit is fucking amazing to me. Like I said, I heard about it a few years ago, and that shit was dumbfounded me, and it's awesome to really. It's the most fishing we've talked on this podcast in a year at least.
It probably is.
Hey, damn it, I forgot it again.
Yeah, nobody cares, Paul.
Oh, pull it up. While Alex is pulling that up, hey, Brandon, let's go order a float tube off of wish.com for Alex, and then he has to film himself fishing in a Wish float tube.
And you got to have the back angle. It's got to be the good angle. It can't be like
holy shit. Now, okay, see, yeah, this is way different than what I fucking thought. Holy shit.
You got the plastics on one side, you got hard lures on the other side.
This thing's fucking stupid.
I don't use the net in the front.
Yeah.
What is that for? Is that like to set shit on and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, so the couple times I've done a tournament, it is a little sketchy. I put the net beneath the catch board, and but then again, the fish can easily flop off and you can lose lose the photo, lose the fish.
For everybody listening, Alex brought up a picture of this Cumberland float tube, and that's what we're looking at now. And it's way more badass than I thought it would. I thought we were going to look at like the old black rubber inner tube that you get when you rent tubes going down to the shit ain't it.
The seat looks comfy. Badass. The seat looks comfy as shit, actually.
How fast can you go? How fast can you go when you're moving from one spot to another? How fast are you? What is it called? It ain't pedaling. It ain't paddle. How fast are you kicking?
Flipping.
Yeah.
Flippering.
It's up to you. You know, I mean, how good of shape are those legs? You know, if you've been drinking some water, you don't want to get a leg cramp when you're out there. It's happened to me before, and it's brutal.
That would suck. Oh my God, that would suck.
Especially when you're camping, you know, you're at the campsite, you have a couple of drinks, you wake up early to go fishing, and if you're not staying hydrated out there, like you're gonna get a leg cramp. At least that's how it happens to me.
Do you do a lot of camp fishing excursions? Do you do a lot of camping?
I do, yeah. Because there's an area that's about 3 hours from where I live, and to me, you know, get off work on a Friday at a decent time. Make that drive, try to get the evening bite. If not, you're already getting up early the next day and just take advantage of it. Either fish all day, or I usually fish till about 2, stop for a little bit, and then get that evening bite when I'm camping somewhere.
Are you a hammock camper, or are you a tent camper, or do you boondock?
All right, I'm more in the car. I got a Toyota RAV4, back seats down, air mattress. I can just sleep right in the back.
So you're boondocking it.
Yeah.
One of them boons.
Yep, got my cooler right next to me, you know, keeping the car.
I'm all about some fucking camping and fishing, man. To me,
Paul
that's
loves
like
camping.
The essence of it. And camping, I mean, it's been hot as shit here in North Carolina, so we hadn't been, but I'm a hammock camper. I have hammocks, and, you know, we hang the hammocks up and fuck a tent and go that route. Yeah, I love some camping now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's crazy. You think about what pro fishermen do, how much they drive and travel and all that just to fish these tournaments. You know, if you love fishing, it's not a big deal to drive a couple hours and put in that effort to get it good somewhere. That's kind of the point that I'm at 100%.
Speaking of tournaments, do you do any tournaments in this float tube? Are there float tube tournaments, or are you doing kayak tournaments in the tube?
Yeah, so I mean, there are a group of guys who are doing float tube tournaments called Tube Mob. They've been doing it for the past few years now. Yeah, like, you know, they got, just like you got the trophy behind you, they're giving out trophies to first through third. You know, biggest bag of 5, minimum 13 inches per fish. People are pulling in, you know, 100+ inch bags. Again, it's tough for me to fish those guys because they got, you know, trolling motors and you know, live scope, or not all of them live scope, but electronics. And I definitely kind of got to a point, especially this year, when you start fishing deeper water, it makes you realize the benefits of having any electronics, just to kind of find some of that structure in that 10 to, you know, 20 foot range.
What do you got there, Paul? What the hell is he doing? Oh, that's his little cool rag. Paul's in like a garage. It's like 120 degrees. I made him turn off his fan because it made too much noise. So he's got to get his little freezer fan, or his freezer.
I had to go get this little snap, like, cloth thing that cools you down, because my fucking garage is so fucking hot right now. I swear, I think I could pee in my pants right now and it'd be no different than the sweat.
Sacrifices.
Do it, Paul. Do it. I dare you. Piss your pants on air. Let's see it.
I don't have to tinkle yet.
Nah.
But so I've done 3 tournaments, though. You're talking about tournaments. I've done 3 tournaments. Got 3rd place in my 3rd one.
Hell yeah, dude.
Nice.
Out of 9 anglers, pulled in I think 84.75 inches out of my best 5.
Oh shit, that's a nice bag.
So
what do you use to measure? Do y'all use catch boards? Do you use
catch
stuff
boards?
Like, okay, so
only catch boards.
Okay, good.
Only catch boards. Yeah.
Are you? I mean, one, that's a big bag. I mean, it's kind of small for Texas. But are you primarily fishing for largies?
Only largemouth. Yeah, we don't have smallmouth bass in these lakes that we're fishing at.
What about multi-species? You fish anything else, or just bass?
You know, I kind of feel like I did the opposite of a lot of people. I just got into trout fishing. Probably, like, I guess it goes hand in hand with the whole camping thing. it's fun to just kind of chase a new species first and foremost, but then also too, camping in the mountains is a lot of fun. And for the most part, there's a lot of good trout fishing in the mountain. There's some bass lakes actually that I've kind of found on the way, especially some random ponds off the beaten path on the way to the mountains.
But, a lot of mountains with trout in Texas. That's interesting. I never thought that they were there. That's crazy.
Yeah, just gotta look and you can find it. Never give up.
Never give up. Fuck you. You're off the show. You're done. Trout's fun. Are those all stockies, or there's any? Those are all stockies, right? Any?
Yeah, for the most part, I think there are some fish that probably hold over throughout the years. Maybe they breed and have some offspring, but for the most part, it's a lot of stock fish. Yeah.
All right, hey, Paul, you got to take over. Nope, you got to take over for a minute. The kids, my kids have been gone for a week. They just got home. I'll be right back.
He ain't coming back. It's gonna be like the last episode where he didn't even show up. I mean, he told me he wasn't showing up, but there it is. I'm gonna say, hey, remind me when he gets back just remind me. Say, hey, Paul, remember the E's. Okay, so when he gets back, because he does this shit and it fucking drives me a little bonkers, and it's some shit in the fishing industry that drives me bonkers, and he does it all the time. So just remind me about the E's.
The E's.
So the area you're from, is that where you're from originally, or have you traveled the country fishing, or are you just in that regional geographical area of where you are? Is that where you mainly fish? Yeah,
just the area. Like I was saying, I've driven 3 hours, 6 hours to fish new waters, but generally I haven't traveled out of state at all to fish.
Well, I mean, where you are too, you got some good fisheries in the area.
Lake Fork.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Yep. Yeah. Lake Johnson. I have no idea if that's actual lake, but there's probably one out there.
I'm sure.
So you're carrying 3, maybe 5 rods when you go. It sounds like you mostly do shallow water stuff. So it sounds like you're in the grass most of the time. Or
I mean, I found a lot of success flipping in the past, and this year the reservoirs have been really low. So I kind of started fishing deeper waters and utilizing like deeper crankbaits going down to like 20, 25 feet. And then, finessing those with a drop shot once I found those, which is something I've never honestly done in the past. And it's been paying off, so it's kind of funny when things change. You look on techniques you kept hearing about online and give them a try out of desperation, and you learn something new. So I probably fish up to 20, 25, 30 feet at max, but generally I stay pretty shallow. I probably don't want to go deeper than 20 feet.
Because when you think about on a bass boat, people have 20, 30 rods, and they'll have 10, 15 on the deck. And then a lot of folks that kayak fish will have 6 to 12, 15 rods in a kayak. And then, the easy thing is like when I'm going fishing in the morning time, I might be shallow. And then later in the day, I'm going to go out there and be deep cranking or throwing a drop shot. So I have a specific rod combo set up for specific stuff, so I don't have to tie it. Also, it's the action, right? You're not going to throw a crankbait, deep diving crankbait on some little flimsy spinning rod. Are your rods very, very multi-purpose?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny, like I was mentioning, getting back into fishing the last 3 years and hearing all these things about just different rods. And having an extra fast or a moderate rod makes all the difference in the world. I would never think about cranking I use a moderate rod now, but in the past, I was just throwing an extra fast rod with a crankbait.
Because you only had 3.
So I definitely, I have a rod for, a deep. That's why sometimes I'm bringing 2 spinning rods and 2 casting rods, or sometimes I'm bringing, just depends on what in my mind I think I'm going to do the most.
Man,
I got rods specifically for certain techniques. 100%.
I'd be lost as fuck if like bringing more than 4 or 5 rods on a trip was the way I had to fish. There's no doubt in my mind that they would be biting every lure or every technique except the ones that I brought. Like if I could only bring 4, I'd be fucking lost. I'd be terrible at fishing. More terrible.
I always bring a boxes full of lures, and I feel like once I start carrying numerous rods, I probably change maybe once. I feel like the ones I bring, I'm pretty confident with, and if they're not biting that, I don't experiment too often. I know some guys are changing up a lot, and that helps, but I guess without having a fish finder, you just gotta kind of, I don't know, stay confident and just keep hammering what you got.
Have you thought about putting a graph on your float tube? I mean, you're starting to fish out deeper, especially drop shotting like that. Having some side scan and some down imaging, being able to look for fish probably would be helpful.
Yeah, I had an old fishing buddy. It kind of had the transducer already built into it. It's probably about 2 feet long. People still want it to this day, but yeah, I don't know. Something happened with it. It doesn't work anymore. So I need to invest into another fish finder. It's been a little while since I've been with one. It would help 100%.
Yeah, I'd be lost without mine. I mean, 100% would be, terrible.
Yeah.
I'd be lost.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. Throwing a deep crank, sometimes you're just kind of looking to run into grass randomly. Once you find that grass, chase it down with a drop shot, and you can catch fish that way. But obviously, having a graph telling you if they're there 100% would be nice.
Have you ever been out there float tubing and something swam up against your leg and scared the fuck out of you?
Definitely, yeah. I've had fish bump me. I've had turtles pop up right next to me. And, sometimes I'll fish in the salt water, and you'll have the seals. The seals come popping up next to you. It's like a rabid dog. So it's kind of scary when they're on the prowl out there.
Or do you have your pole? You ever like beating them like yeah?
Nah, sometimes you got to yell at them, but I've never had to beat one away.
Dude, that would be, I grew up in the South and have always been in the water and shit, but like, I don't know. It's just something about if you feel something rub up against you, regardless if you're in a body of water, that the only thing in there that could hurt you would be like maybe a turtle nipping at you would be the worst it could be. There's still that unknown that you're like, oh shit, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, sometimes when you're launching in a random body of water and you found on Google Earth, you kind of definitely get that feeling.
The float tubing just is crazy, man. It's so awesome. I'm glad we're over here talking about it because I've been curious about it for a while. I've been float curious.
Yeah, I mean, kayaking's gotten really popular, it seems, in the last few years, and I think it's just kind of an alternative to get on the water. Once you get off the bank and get on the water, it's kind of hard to go back,
That's right. That's the thing that we talk about a lot with the kayaks is you can go buy that $200 kayak from Walmart and you can get off the bank and go fish and fish off the bank. So getting off the bank is a huge step for people that have only been on the bank because they haven't been able to afford
it's a game
way to get
changer.
out.
It's a game changer for sure.
All right.
Sorry about that, guys.
All right. The ease. Alex said it. And he does this shit all the time. And in the bass industry, we hear this. Bass people always, or fish anglers in general, just want to add the ease at anything. Oh, do you fish smallies or largies? Oh, yeah. This and like, why the fuck can't y'all just say smallmouth or largemouth? Why we got to put ease at the end of all this?
It's called having style, Paul. It's called having a little bit of style. You know what I mean?
The most style you've ever had on this podcast is when you wear your hookset hoodlum hat and the hat you have on tonight.
Listen, so the kids have been gone for a whole week down in South Carolina, actually not too far from Paul.
What in the hell?
Yeah, they were in Hilton Head.
That's like 6. You're closer to me than they were.
Anyways, they drove today the whole time up from Hilton Head.
Drove?
Well, with the in-laws.
But they drove?
No, the in-laws did, obviously.
Oh, well, you said they drove.
I know.
I mean,
but
geez.
We just grabbed them, and my in-laws look like they have gone through some fucking shit. And as soon as I open up the door, both the kids are already fighting. They're like, "That's my bag. You've done this the whole fucking trip." They didn't say fucking, but they were like, "You've done this the whole trip." And I just look at my father-in-law, and he goes, "Just take their stuff and go." I was like, "I got it."
Hey. Are we going to have a little Alex running around in 9 months?
Oh,
you had a whole week alone with a Mandy.
Yeah, dude. There's no more kids coming out of me. I mean, maybe she will. It ain't from me. She's going to have some hard questions to answer. Hey, so since you're in these kind of weird areas, we, you know, as people who are on the water a lot in the outdoors.
Oh, wait. No, we've already talked about this, so go to your next question.
Fuck. I didn't have another one. That was it.
I don't even know what you're asking, though, so go ahead and continue.
Oh, you piece of shit. Have you seen anything paranormal out there? We had Chris Cruz on. Chris Cruz talked about the infamous Louisiana tree beaver, which is really just a crackhead stuck in a fucking tree. We know Alex Rudd. He's on the show all the time. He's a firm believer in fucking UFOs and Bigfoots and everything. Have you seen anything? Like, what's the weirdest kind of craziest thing you've seen out there?
I've heard some rumbling in the Tules a few times and some random, cat calls. I've heard there's mountain lions that kind of run around some of the backwaters.
I thought when you said cat calls, it was something different. It was like, hey, boy, what that pee-pee do?
Squeal like a pig. Wee! Wee!
All right, so you heard some big cats out there, huh?
Yeah, definitely. I've never seen one personally. Like, heard rumors of big old snapping turtles.
All right.
Never seen one of those.
What would you do if you saw an alligator in the water where you were?
Asking for a Klondike bar, probably.
That's a polar bear, but close enough.
All right. So I don't know if anybody else listens to the last podcast on the left, right? They're a great podcast. Has nothing to do with fishing. They're fucking ridiculous. But they were talking about how, I think it was like last week, this lady was floating with all her friends in tubes. Now they were doing the we're going to drink White Claw and float down the river, right?
No, White Claw.
And they saw a fucking otter, a river otter. And they're like, oh my God, it's so cute. And this fucking river otter, when it was done, had bitten multiple asses, had also bitten off her fucking nose and a portion of her ear.
Yeah.
I thought river otters are sweet. I thought they were great. Absolutely fucking not. Now you're in a tube. Like, what's your move, Brandon? What's the go-to? You can't give him the Klondike bar. You already gave up that thing to the alligator. He's fucking confused as fuck. He's like, does this guy know I'm an alligator or does he think I'm a bear? What the fuck? So what's your next move with this river otter? It's got cuteness, but it's gonna bite you.
We actually did already talk about that, but it was fuck a river otter. He was sea otters.
Make sure you get your extra heavy. Grab your extra heavy rod out and just.
So you fish saltwater in this tube?
There's some bays that I'll fish out here in Texas.
Okay. But there are great white sharks in West Texas, and you out there in a fucking float tube.
YOLO.
Well, listen, if you're ever in San Diego,
YOLO. You're right. That is.
If you're ever in California,
you're only going to get bit once,
right? If you're ever in California, I know. Friend of the show, he was on a long time ago. We got to have him on again. Nick from Cast and Crank. That guy's on to some really good calico bass. Supposedly it's a fucking cool scene out in LA or wherever the hell he's at.
Yeah,
bring the float tube out for those.
He's out there in the kelp fields.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun to fish for, especially when the bass fishing slows down. You just get out on the bay and usually get bit pretty good.
So you said sometimes. So you can only bring 4 rods, right? So what's that everyday lineup look like? And I know it's going to change with the. Oh Jesus!
We kind of actually did. I'm being for real this time.
You fucking asshole!
Well, you shouldn't have left. You should have talked to your kids after the podcast.
No, they're going to be in sleep.
It's like last week, Brandon. Last week, Alex wasn't here for the podcast because he scheduled his daughter's birthday party on the one night out of the week we recorded the podcast.
It was her fucking birthday.
How selfish is that?
It was her birthday.
Do you have kids, Brandon?
I do not. No, just the cats.
Okay, don't have them. Cats are ways you can leave a cat for a week at a time. And you know what? You come back home, they're happy to see you. They've probably thrown up 2 or 3 times in the house, but you know what? They're still alive, and they're happy to see you, and they're probably going to pee in your bag when you get home because they're mad at you for leaving them for a week. But, you don't have to pay anybody to take care of them.
We still get cat sitters when we're gone for just a couple days, but our cats are a little spoiled.
All right, since you're doing all this camping, all right, how about this? I'm sure you guys already fucking covered it, right? But what's that abnormal fucking accessory that most people don't think about that is fucking clutch, right? So, friends of mine, they camp all the time, and as an example, she loves the funnel thing so she can piss outside standing up. That would be her clutch.
It's called a go girl. It's called a go girl. That's a good question though. Yeah, what is your obscure camping thing you have to take?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's obscure by any means, but having just one of those little thin backpacking air mattresses so you can just camp in the back of your car instead of having to use all that effort to set up a tent, put all your accessories in the tent, and just keep it in your car so you can travel a lot easier. The only negative of that is you can't kind of hold down a camp spot. So if you do go travel somewhere and come back, the spot can be taken. So there's nothing obscure about it, but just having like a comfort, because when you're in the tube or a kayak, you don't want to wake up sore. You gotta sleep comfortably. So investing in a comfortable sleeping pad is the most clutch.
And maybe to hold that spot while you're gone, you should take 2 buckets, right? You got 1 bucket, obviously, for all your fishing gear, and the other one, you just collect your shits. And then before you leave for the day, you dump out your shits and kind of like mark it to where nobody would want to fucking camp there because there's giant piles of shits. Maybe put a couple needles in the shit, and when they see it, they'll fucking instantly leave, and you're good to go.
And then you put up a sign that says, seats taken. Can't sit here. You can sit here if you want to.
What is that?
I mean, camping, when you're off-grid camping, you definitely need to shit somewhere, so a bucket is clutch, and I guess you could just, keep that bucket there. That could help.
Do you guys put a toilet seat on your bucket? Are you fancy like that?
It's only like $9 more to upgrade the seat.
We on the cutter, we didn't have we obviously had normal toilets, right? But if we had what's the right word? If we caught some bad guys, right? And the bad guys have to stay on the boat for a while until we can offload said bad guys. They have to be able to use the bathroom, and we can't allow them into the ship. So they'd have to use a fucking bucket. And we thought that we were being nice when we had the welder carpenter guy on the boat fucking take some 2x4 and fucking hammer in a toilet seat just to like the side of this fucking bucket. Like it wasn't like built and formed. It was just a fucking just regular toilet seat screwed into 2x4s that surrounded the bucket that these guys would have to shit in.
That's a stupid story. So when you do go camping, look at him.
It's better than nothing.
Right now.
Yeah.
When you do go camping, are you doing like the sandwich thing, or are y'all doing some cooking? Do you take a griddle or a camp stove, or are we cooking on a fire? What's your camp cooking setup look?
Brandon looks like an Uber Eats guy. Like he's getting Uber Eats out there.
When I'm by myself, I got just some salami and cheese and some chips, some salsa. I keep it pretty minimal. Some bananas for the morning. But when I go with some friends, I'll cook something. We'll cook sometimes at the Coleman Grill. But yeah, when I'm going solo, I just want to keep it minimal as possible. I got too much tackle to take care of. I don't want to bring much.
True. Have you ever made a black bean sandwich while you've been camping?
I've eaten them, but I've never made one. That's a little too excessive.
Just describe what this black bean sandwich you ate. How was it constructed?
Well, like a black bean burger, not a sandwich. I guess I've never eaten a black bean sandwich before. Yeah. I've eaten a black. Yeah,
just dump out a can of Goya black beans on some loaf bread and fucking slurp it up. You've never eaten a black bean sandwich like that.
I'll check that out.
Fucking!
Yeah. There's only one person in the fucking world who's done that. He was on the podcast a few episodes.
I'm getting hungry now.
I feel so bad because he's trying to defend himself so much. And what you guys don't know, maybe I wasn't on that show. So like he can't eat bread. And then I was like, well then, don't be a bitch and call black bean fucking sandwich. And then he was like, yeah, and then he even showed us like what he eats for lunch. And it was like unsalted tortilla chips and black bean dip. And it was just, I think Dark Horse fucked up by trying to be friends with us because I really like those guys, and we're just fucking really mean. Yeah. Everybody's really mean to them, and I appreciate. Yeah, I appreciate all the brewskis for fucking letting him know that he's a weirdo.
Hey, on the social media side, you've already said that you were doing photography, probably which led into being able to do videography and editing and stuff. Was that the reason you started social media, or was it were you one of these folks that started it to like just have a what the fuck about a library of your adventures?
Well, they call it content now. But yeah, just photos and videos. Photos and videos. I'm just saying it's funny. Yeah, photos and videos. Yeah, it's kind of nice to have that library, and at the same time, I've met some pretty cool people online as well. But yeah, I wouldn't say I go out of my way, and sometimes I'll avoid, like I would love to document every lure in the fish's mouth, but sometimes I'm like, I don't know if I want to, show that off. So I'll take the lure out,
Mm-hmm.
So, I show what I want to show on social media.
So your social media, then you created a following. Was that on purpose, or you just putting shit out there and it's just happened?
I don't know. I wouldn't say I have too much of a following, but yeah, I just kind of put shit out there and just kind of saw what happened, and it was kind of fun just to kind of see what would happen. That was kind of like the excitement of it, but it was never, it's not too thought out.
Like you don't have a strategy. You're putting out whatever you want, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, that's what I tried to do, and it was too much work. So I commend you, because fucking putting out content is really is hard. That fucking shit sucks. And the people who do that consistently, like, props to you, because fuck that. I have not the patience for it.
I mean, I just find a song on there that I've heard while I'm just scrolling around aimlessly that I think is funny. I'll save it and I'll upload that dink that I caught that day or the day before and call it a day. And some people, sometimes people think it's funny and sometimes people don't. And every once in a while,
that's too hard. That's too hard for Paul. Paul can't even fucking do that. Paul had a really funny, series of videos where he'd catch a fish, he'd call the fish a name, and I'll just use the example, Charles, and he'd go, y'all look, this is Charles. See you later, Charles. And then he'd release him. It was fucking hilarious. And he won't do it because it's too much work.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to start doing that.
Yeah.
I'm say, look, this is Jabber Hammer. That's what I'm going to start with. And then I'm just going to keep going. Honestly, that's going to be my next few videos. I'll tag you. I'm going to tag you. Just, but that's going to be
You better fucking tag us. Otherwise,
hey, if I forget on the next podcast, I'm just going to get reamed on. It's going to be awful.
By Alex, I don't give a shit, but use his hashtag, name that bass. You catch a bass, you hold it up, like, hey, y'all, we call Alex. Alex, go be free, and you let it go. But I was doing those because this was like last year, a year and a half ago, where TikTok was like 10-second and less videos on TikTok were the shit. Yeah. Right? That is what, if you go look at my pinned videos if you go look at one of my pinned videos, they were all like 10 seconds and less because that was what's going. But now TikTok wants these minute-plus long things, and that ain't my shit, man. I like the short, sweet, throw stuff together, and they've just changed everything to now they want the long form. Uh-oh, did you drink a beer wrong? I see over there swatting.
There's a little bug coming at me.
I think it's funny you say that, Paul, because I got that notification again about they're like, hey, we want to put your podcast on TikTok. You should put it on TikTok. We're here for long-form content. We'll take all podcasts. And it's like, you can submit your podcast up to 1 hour. I was like, bitch, that isn't even fucking close. That is not close to what we're at.
But that's where stuff is going right now. When you get on the front end of that kind of stuff, it's stupid right now. And a year from now, Alex is like, man, we should put our podcast on TikTok.
We can only do an hour.
Well, just put like 3 1-hour episodes out.
You fucking do the editing for that, dickhead.
No, that's not the relationship that we have for this.
I haven't figured that, one, we shouldn't be fighting in front of company, but I haven't figured out quite exactly what you do here. Other than you're like the substitute teacher that comes in when I'm too busy with everything else. You're like Mr. fucking cool teacher. You come in, you don't do anything that you're supposed to do. You basically just put a fucking movie on for the class as you're sitting there drinking your whiskey and your coffee. You're like that what was that fucking bad teacher? That's what you are. But that's all you
Santa.
Fucking do. Right?
I'm bad Santa, the substitute teacher.
I have not figured out what you do. So I think that's a great idea. I think if you want to do the poll about if Alex should stop doing the podcast, how about we do another poll? Maybe Paul should have to split up the episodes because he wants them on fucking TikTok.
I ran this motherfucker for a whole year plus by myself, so I have earned the right to show up and not do nothing for a while.
You ran it for 10 minutes today while he came back and asked questions that were already asked.
Yeah. See, I knew exactly what he was going to ask just through ESPN.
Hold on, Brandon. You got to pick a side.
Same cycle.
Listen, Brandon, you got to pick a side. You can't just you can't just be bouncing. You can't be shitting on Jabber and then coming and shitting on me. You got to pick a side, buddy.
I'm going with Ike. I'm Ike fan with Jabber. 100%.
Well, if you're going to go with Ike, that means that you're going to get really old, become super overrated, and make yourself look like an asshole just to stay relevant.
Not at all. Not at all. Like, it is that's you at the end of this podcast, the last 15 minutes of every podcast where you finish your liquor. You just described yourself.
No liquor today. I don't know if anybody saw that. Anybody watching? We used to do this all the time, but look what I found. I found gin and soda, Tanqueray gin and sodas, because my basement is hot as fuck.
Hey, it's not as hot as my garage.
It's not.
Brandon, Alex here has had quite a few episodes. He put out a TikTok this week about me being stupid drunk, like falling over. I can't even remember what it was, but Brandon, Alex is the one that has dropped a cup full of liquor in his lap live. This was not a regular podcast. This was a live event.
Yeah. As I was trying to make fun of somebody else, I was trying to make fun of somebody because they hold their drinks like this. So as I'm holding it, I fucking drop it. And that was the end of the year show. So I think we had like 6 people live at once. And fucking what a nightmare. Speaking of that, hey, I know it's way ahead of time, but we are doing that again this year. We're going to change the format for it, though. We're going to get people.
15 people.
Yeah, we're not going to have 15 people on at the same time. But it will still be me, Paul, and Tori, the Bass and Brews historian. And we're going to bring folks on who are guests or fans of the show throughout the year. Give everybody like a 10-minute block or so to make fun of them. I think I'm going to... Primary Jump Master had a really good question. And today he said he wants a whole episode of pro anglers and how they poop on the water to make sure that he's doing it right. So that might just be the theme of the end of the year kegger is how do you take a shit on the water? So we can talk to Darren. We'll get Darren to come back. I'm sure he'll fucking love that. And we'll, maybe Coach will come on. Do you think Coach will tell us how he poops on the water, Paul?
He might, but you know how big of a dumbass I am? I've been calling Tori the librarian for like the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's really funny. I've seen you post that, calling her the librarian, and I haven't corrected you once. I think it's the fucking funniest thing ever. But
at least I spelled it right.
So everybody stay tuned. I mean, there's going to be more details, but there was one time where I recorded in my basement and I fell up the stairs and my wife opened up the door and she just looked at me and she goes, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yes." And then she goes, "Shut the fuck up. You're way too loud." She's a great wife because she asked if I was okay first and then chastised me for it. But we slowed it down a little bit. We slowed it down. No more big cups. Well, there'll be a big cup next week.
Grab a pine cone.
Yeah.
What?
That's a primary Jump Master thing.
Yeah.
Oh.
Grab a pine cone. He hasn't done that in a long time, and those were so fucking funny.
Those are funny.
And the whole time he's like eating that banana without fucking peeling it, as he's just like eating the whole fucking yeah.
I missed that one. I gotta look back.
Was that the one that he ate his desk mate's banana?
Yep. He used to do that all the time, and then and then the pine cone, and now he's just got like inspirational army videos. I'm a little disappointed. Like we get it. You wear a cowboy hat at work. You're in the cavalry, even though the army doesn't have fucking horses anymore. But you need to bring back Pine Cone Man and eating bananas, eating any fruit. How you're not supposed to be. I'd like to see you eat an orange or maybe an apple, the core and all.
Good series.
Hey, Brandon, what's your most viral video?
Probably finding snagged lures, honestly. People seem to love that. I mean, you guys have seen in your other episodes, people, if you get hooked, you can go viral. Well, my most viral videos are finding a snagged lure.
That's
I've had people ask me did you plant that? Did you really find that? I'm like, yeah, I not just fishing for views here. big snag lures in the tulies.
But that's sometimes that happens. Sometimes that happens. I went out fishing once with somebody who's like pretty decently, not like super famous, but like, you know, got a big following on YouTube. And this is back in the day, 2 years ago. We went out fishing.
Wild Bill does not count.
No, it's not Wild Bill. But we were out fishing and we were chatting. He goes, "Oh shit, I got a fish. Hold on a minute." And then he does the whole like GoPro turn on. And he lets out some slack, and then he does a fake hook set. And he goes, "Oh, yeah, we're hooked up here, sitting here with Swamp Rat Fishing." And I'm like, bro, you just faked that. That was... And he's like looking at me like, shut the fuck up. And I'm like, oh, okay. All right, man. Gotta do what you gotta do.
I see lures when I'm out in the kayak. I see lures up in the trees or on the bank or stuff. And I used to try to go get them if they look nice. And then I almost fell in one day. And so now I just look at him and be like, that must have fucking sucked because I'm not falling out of my kayak.
What's funny is every one of those lures you're talking about is ham bone fishings.
I've definitely gotten close to him and almost popped the tube, you know, in the trouble.
Yeah.
So forgetting what you're doing, getting excited about grabbing it, and next thing you know, danger zone.
Yeah.
You're headed out Saturday morning to go fishing. You don't know what the fish are doing. You can only take one rod. You can only take as many lures as you can fit in your front pocket of your shirt. What are you taking?
Wow.
Probably a medium action casting rod.
You're going to fit that in the front pocket of your shirt?
No, but I said the lures, motherfucker. Shut up, let him answer the question.
So I'm just specifying the setup: casting rod, medium action, Sinkos, some probably 3/0 wide gap EWGs, a chatterbait, probably a spinner bait that would fit in the pocket comfortably. And I'd probably hang a jerk bait from that. Megabass Vision 110 Junior +1.
Oh, dude, you hang that thing from your pocket. You're never getting that thing out. That thing's stuck in that pocket for days.
That's when you get the pocket knife. You just kind of put a hole in there.
I think that's a pretty well-rounded setup. I'm disappointed, you being from Texas, that you didn't try to, put a mag draft in there or anything.
Yeah. I'm, S-Wavers is big, about as hefty as I'm going to go with swim bait.
Do you do a bunch of swim bait fishing?
No, I mean, I've got them, but not much. I definitely they don't make it into my box most days I go fishing.
I feel like swim bait fishing is now turned into like people who collect Jordans, right? Like they go out and they spend a lot of money for these shoes that they're never going to wear, and they just look really nice. So a lot of people go out and buy these really expensive big swim baits. And they don't even fish them, and I get it because they're like $150, and then they just hang them. Yeah, it is a cheap one, and then they just hang them on the wall.
Hey, well, not only that, people will wear their Jordans, but they walk funny so they don't crease them.
I saw that video. I saw that same video, Paul.
Yeah. and then they also do stuff that doesn't get them scuffed up. So like these swim bait anglers will take their $300 swim bait out there, and then they go like somewhere where there's no trees, no grass, in the middle of the lake.
No
they
fish.
Just throw it around. That's not all of them, but that's a perception I have with a lot of folks on the YouTubes and the Tiki-Taks that are out there with these big baits, just throwing them and never catching anything. They're not over there in the flooded timber or skipping a $300 one up under a dock and shit. They're like, hey, I'm going to go throw this, but we ain't getting nowhere near the fucking wood.
Listen, and I know a lot of people are excited about the Bass and Brews bait coming out, the long smalley, right? And we're working on some prototypes, but and this is a surprise for Paul too. I figure if we're going to be making probably the world's best topwater bait, we should probably get in the swim bait game, and it's really expensive to get a good swim bait. So we're able to get a better price point. We were able to team up with a world-renowned swim bait fisherman, the one and only Mike Long. So this swim bait is just a giant fucking treble hook with a weight on it, and you're going to be able to snag as many fish as you want. You're going to have different sizes. At some point in time, we'll have a little bit of steroids you can get off to the side, so you can road rage and yell at your neighbor's kid. But we're definitely looking to maybe hit ICAST 2024 with the long smalley and the Mike Long snags a lot.
And it's triple barbed to make sure that none of your fish come off.
It's triple barbed. Also, it's good for chucking at your neighbor when he finds out that you've been cheating all these years. So, yeah. Everybody look out for that. That's the Mike Long Bass and Brews Snag-a-Lot.
Do they come in a variety of sizes and colors? Or?
Oh yeah. We're okay. We're definitely gonna do some some limited release. Like, you want to make sure that when you're doing the Mike Long technique of swim bait fishing, you want to make sure you're really matching the hatch. And we'll have different kind of metals, because I've been talking to him a lot, and he said a lot of times copper was better, just so you could really slide into the gut of that bass and bring it up there. So rehook them with another bait. Sometimes you want titanium, so you can really chuck that thing far and snag multiple double-digit bass at the same time. It's really going to revolutionize. You know what? I dare to say it. It's going to be a game changer. Going to be a game changer.
You're an idiot.
I want some underwater footage.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. Well, no, I mean, it's Mike Long. We don't do cast to catch.
It's just the catch.
Yeah.
Hey, and all those double digits that you catch, we're going to eat.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Have you guys ever read Sow Belly? So it's about it's about the breaking the world record in Southern California for bass, right? And this guy goes in, and this is before all the Mike Long stuff, before he found out he was an excellent fisherman, and really proud to have him on the team at Bass and Brews. But they go in and talk about these guys, how they're just like, crazy obsessed with it. But even back then, they were talking about how much of a fucking lunatic Mike Long was. Like, and this is before anything broke, and they were just talking about how, like, he wouldn't give up spots. And it's so funny, because I read the book, like, after the whole controversy came out, and, like, these guys were like, we're seeing the behavior that we come to find out later on was, like, him specifically cheating. But in the book, they paint him as, like, crazy, but, like, eccentric. So they're like, no, it's just he's really in tune with trying to catch the fish. It's like, no, that motherfucker was cheating the whole time. Really interesting book, though. They talk about, I know at one point there was like a standoff between two bass boats, both of them with shotguns drawn down on each other, because they saw what they thought was a world record bass sitting on a bed. So they were literally going to shoot each other trying to catch this fucking fish. It was crazy.
So if you read this whole book, I'm assuming it was mostly pictures.
No, I can read better than you, Paul.
Oh,
as long as it's English. As long as it's English, because when you fucking text me, it's not English, and I know it's because you do text to speech. And Siri, anytime you talk to her, she instantly puts out a fucking Amber Alert, because she's like, there's some dumb child lost talking to me. Oh, shit, my phone turned on.
My AirPods were messed up. I got new AirPods, and I talked to texted today, and it didn't mess up one single word.
That's good. I'm
proud of myself. All
right,
for sure.
We are about ready to get to the most decisive portion of our podcast. Before we get there, Brandon, I want to give you a chance to shout out whoever you'd like, because after this, it might be all down the tubes. You might head into the dark waters.
Just going to shout out that future double-digit bass I'm going to bring to that tube one of these days.
Yep.
And that's it.
Where can guys find you on social media?
Just at Throw Luck Fishing.
And what platforms are those? TikTok, IG? Are you on YouTube at all, or
just TikTok and IG? Yep.
Okay.
Nice.
All right, man. This is it. This is like I said, this is either going to make people really love you, or they're gonna fucking hate you. So this is the shotgun round. Paul, where's the sound effect?
We need off the top questions, no thinking, no ums, and after your answer, we can dive into the if we need to. But right away, we need everything. All right, ready?
Is that what you're doing?
Do. Oh,
that's fucking stupid. Crocs. There we go. That's much better. Crocs or flops?
Flops all the way. Never own Crocs.
Missing out, man. Missing out. Fuck, I gotta remember these questions now. We haven't had.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, pull them out, Paul. I'll remember what I can. All right, so you're on the water. 3 hours on the water. Would you rather catch 5 2-pounders or 1 7?
1 7 all the way. That'd be my PB.
Hell
yeah, my man. That's right. Let's catch one big.
Keeping it honest.
What's your PB now?
5'11".
That's gotta
small.
Be. Look.
No, I'm just joking.
They don't get big out here in Texas.
Yeah, Texas is known for their small bass.
OHIV, it doesn't work for me. I don't know what the deal is.
Listen, that's why we're going to bring you on as pro staff for the Mike Long Snag-a-Lot.
Hey,
we'll give you a discount code that charges you 10% extra when you buy stuff.
If you bought the Banjo Minnow at one point in your life, you get a discount.
Yeah, absolutely. You're in the veterans program.
The Banjo Minnow was ahead of its time. If you bought the fucking helicopter lure, which I did twice,
of course you did.
Then you're an asshole.
Yeah, of
if
course
you bought the helicopter lure twice, you're an asshole.
That infomercial didn't get me, but the Banjo Minnow.
Yeah.
I think my parents get their credit card out.
but dude, that was a swim bait before swim baits.
It kind of was,
It's kind of like a fluke. It's kind of like no-sucking a fluke almost, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
What was the one that would float backwards? Which one was that? It was like a flat, so it looked like a tube, except it was flat, but it had the little tube appendages. Which one was that? Because I had that one too.
Yeah, I don't know. If it was in the 90s,
Brandon, I know you know what I'm talking about.
I wasn't bass fishing in the 90s.
I know what you're talking about. I can't recall the name. It wasn't as memorable as Banjo Minnow.
Yeah, the helicopter lure. If you want,
I do remember the helicopter lure. I didn't buy into that one, but
yeah,
it's basically just a 3-inch little body, a hard body with a little helicopter propeller blade.
It looked like a dildo with helicopter blades.
Perfect. So,
and if you wanted to fuck up some line, throw a helicopter lure on some tri-lane and about 3 casts
big
in.
Game hunter.
Because all that shit was nothing but that line was wound up like a damn top ready to spin, man. It was
Did you ever get bit on it?
Yeah, the little farm ponds that I fished, I caught fish on it. That's why I bought a second one, because you catch one fish on it, tear that motherfucker all up, and so you had to buy another one. But yeah, I caught fish on it, but man, it literally was like throwing a 5-pound weight out there, because when you were reeling it in, there was so much. It was just so much in there, man. It was like reeling in a weight. It's crazy. But yeah, I caught some fish on it. Nothing worth paying what I paid for it.
Right. All right. Wacky or Texas?
Texas all the way. I should throw wacky worm more, since I've been fishing I used to just throw the Texas rig starting out. It was like the only lure I even thought about for years. Mm-hmm. So Texas rig, 100%.
I thought you were a wacky rig guy, being in the grass and all.
Nope.
Okay. Nope.
We did say right to the point answers.
Yep, we did. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
100%. Pepperoni.
Yes. Pepperoni and pineapple?
New York style, thin crust, crunchy.
It's gotta be. None of that Chicago bullshit that they call pizza. It's not even a pizza. It's a fucking.
It's a casserole.
Pot. Yeah, it's fucking awful.
Casserole. Pizza
casserole. Man, I think that's all I can remember except for.
Nope. Slow jams or hype music.
Yeah, fuck. I forgot about that one.
Let's go with hype music, 100%. I'm driving to the lake early. I'm trying to stay alive with being tired. I got to get hyped up.
What's in rotation right now? What's in rotation on your way to the lake?
Sometimes it's a little too much, especially when I'm all jacked up from like my Red Bull, but this New York hardcore band called Backtrack.
Yep.
Yeah, I've been listening to them.
That'll get you fired up.
Yeah.
I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew. I'm going to whoop your ass.
Then you get in the tube and the bite's slow. They're not biting reaction baits. And you're like, all right, calm down. Take a breath. Drink your water. Make sure it's on your pee bottle. And, get the drop shot going.
You're over there so hyped up, shaking that the ripples are coming out from the damn float tube.
You might want to start with the drop shot. With you fucking shaking so much, you're going to give it a hell of an action underneath there.
Yeah, the swim jig. I know you're about the swim jig. Just doing that whole damn shake the swim jig.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, he never gets to fish it, though, because he throws the bitch off every time he casts it.
It's not true. I went fishing last Friday, threw around a jackhammer, and when I left, or not a jackhammer, I'm sorry, a slobber knocker, and by the end of the trip, still had the same slobber knocker. I lost the biggest chain pickerel I've ever fucking seen in my life, and this thing was so big, it fucking snapped my rod at the base, and not on the hook set. It literally bent the rod all the way over to where the tip touched my knuckles and then snapped. And then I tried to hand line him in, and he got his head up. Of course, I didn't have a fucking net, and he broke me off like he sliced it up. But this thing was fucking huge.
It must not have been big enough if you didn't lip it.
Yeah, no shit. I was thinking about it because I'm like, no shit. The fucking biggest pickerel I've ever caught in my life. The fucking head was massive on it, and it didn't even like fight like a pickerel. It just was like, I thought I caught a catfish because it just used its weight to like sit down instead of like a pickerel would be darting everywhere. He did none of that. He was a fucking fat son of a bitch. It was a good fish, but it broke a rod on it. I was like, fuck.
It's another excuse to go online and buy a rod and some tackle you don't need.
Exactly.
Hey, yeah, you go to Pure Fishing and get you a new rod, man.
There you go.
Get you a Fenwick. Those new Fenwicks are nice.
What am I missing, Paul?
Have you ever eaten largemouth bass?
Oh, yeah.
Never eaten largemouth, no.
Like by choice, or like you don't want to eat them? Like, why have you never eaten one? Are you just not a game fish eating person?
I mean, I've probably eaten trout a couple times, but just never thought about eating bass. And then just from the beginning, I don't care if someone wants to keep their limit, go for it. But yeah, I've just never been someone who keeps them.
There's something about catching fish, and down here in the South now, we catching catfish, crappie, brim, and bass, right? There's nothing like being on a camping trip and keeping a mess of fish and deep frying them out there in the wide open.
Yeah, but my man already said that he goes high speed, low drag. He's not bringing a whole pot to fucking fry some fish. He's bringing Doritos and a fucking bologna.
The jabber's right, though. I've definitely cooked up some trout on some trip in the mountains, and there is something about, you're out there for a few days and you're eating something good that you caught.
Well, I mean, speaking of eating stuff, maybe when you're camping, have you ever eaten beaver?
Never have. No, it's jerky definitely, but not beaver.
Beaver's delicious. If you ever get a chance, man, jump on it, get it barbecued like you would a hog. Man, some barbecue sauce.
Paul says that, but he's never eaten it.
Oh yeah, right.
I float tubed in some waters that had beavers cruising down the river.
They ever come fuck with you?
Not me, no. Yeah, but they were kind of bobbing around. Some people said they saw them, but I never saw them.
They didn't do the tail slap.
Yeah, nah. It would have been cool to see.
No, there's nothing fucking worse. Like, you're in the kayak, it's early in the morning, you're not really paying attention, you're fishing down the bank, right? And then all of a sudden, all you hear is what sounds like a fucking cannonball dropping out of the sky, and it's because there's a fucking
shit out of you,
right? There's like a beaver, a stealth beaver that comes up, slaps it, like they slap their tail, and they're like 10 feet from you, scares the fucking shit out of you. I've dropped a rod over the side and almost fell in trying to get it back up because I was like, what the fuck? And I dropped the rod. Like, fuck those beavers.
Yeah,
I love beavers.
If you've ever shot a gun near water and the bullets hit the water, I mean, that's exactly what it sounds like. It will scare the shit out of you.
All right, so you did well in the shotgun round. This is the one that's gonna, either gonna make you famous or, send you to Brewski hell. Every great angler loves a good sandwich. What are your top 3 sandwich proteins?
Gonna have to go with salami, turkey, and bacon.
My man,
fucking solid.
Safe. And look, the great thing about all those proteins, you can put all of them on the same sandwich.
Absolutely.
And that fucking shit is awesome.
Listen, with you being from West Texas, I was really worried we were gonna get a fucking goofy answer. So.
Well, he's listened to the podcast.
I haven't cut a DD, but I know how to make a decent sandwich.
There we go.
Perfect. That's all you need. All right, Brandon, it's been awesome having you on the show. Thanks for coming on. Again, you guys can find him at Throw Luck Fishing on Instagram and TikTok. Also, he just texted me. You can also find him on OnlyFans. He didn't know if he should mention that on the podcast or not. Just replace the L with an F in his name, and he'll be there. He's going to be dressed exactly the same, hat, glasses, hair, but then nothing else. So I hope you guys enjoy that. And I think with that one, let me find the. Yeah, everybody, we'll see. Hope you guys are enjoying this.
Whoa, Alex.
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself.